not their area of expertise. You hired a guy who's also in his first year.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, and how much consideration did you give to hiring an experienced guy, and what gives you the confidence that both you guys in your first year can succeed?
Well, I would say this first. I'm a coach. I just happen to coach defense. I spent a lot of time in the offseason understanding offense, and that's been probably the last 7 to 8 years of my career of trying to expand that knowledge of understanding what I want to do on offense and just everything about offense. So that wasn't a word for me. And listen, I know Tanner he's been a coordinator before. He's called it in college, and I know it's different in the NFL, but he has done it. So it was not an issue for me at all. And I know the things I want to do on offense also. So this team is not just going to be about, my fingerprint will be on every part of this team. What I want to do offensively, what I want to do defensively, and on special teams. So in saying that, man, I have all the confidence in the world that Tanner's going to be able to run this offense at a very high level.
Where do you think Breece Hall fits in? He admitted last year to losing some confidence, and he's had a little bit of an up and down a couple of years since his injury. So where do you think he's at mentally, and where do you think he fits in with
I think mentally he's in a good place. But I would say that we have 3 running backs on this team that we're going to utilize as much as possible. They're all big men. They can run. They're violent. They're physical. So I think once we get a chance to get the players in and see exactly like how they operate, I think every player is going to be happy with the way that we go about this offense, and I think he's going to be one of them.
In Detroit, you really had Ben had a pretty good combination there at running back with those two. Is that when you were thinking about how you want your offense and envisioning your offense? Is that what you prefer, the 1-2 punch at running back as opposed to maybe the bell cow?
Well, we have good players in that position like we do. It could be 1, 2, 3 with the guys that we have. So those guys are good players. So we're going to utilize those guys. If we can get them all on the field we can at one time, we'll do that. But I know this here, man. We want to be a violent, tough, physical team. And those men are really violent runners, so we want to take advantage of that.
Darren said yesterday that you're trying to work through some things with Alan Lazard contractually. Is your hope that he's on the team in 2025?
Listen, anytime you have a player of that magnitude, he's a really good blocker. Listen, I played against him a number of times when he was in Green Bay. So I know what he brings to the table. Hopefully something can work out, but we understand how this business is. And if it doesn't, man, it doesn't. But if it does, man, we're going to utilize his talent the way we need to.
Sort of our offense-defense question, like Rich asked before, with the draft.
Yep.
I imagine in Detroit you were focused on just defensive players.
Yeah.
How different is it for you now? You're evaluating the entire draft.
Yeah. So obviously it's different from just being on one side.
Yeah.
But I've been prepping myself for about 7 to 8 years to be able to do this here. So I spent as much time looking at offense than I did just on defense. So I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm looking forward to those conversations during this following week. The coaching staff with moves, scouts. You understand, man, who fits what we're trying to create here. And making sure that the best player that we can draft, that we'll get those guys. So if that's offense, defense, it doesn't matter. We just want to try to get as many good players as we can.
Do you feel like you guys have, with the moves you made this offseason, do you feel like you put yourself in the position to just get the best possible player at number 7?
Listen, that's what we always want to do, is get the best player, and hopefully that player can fit a need for us.
Yeah.
But I think what we try to do is make sure we try to align ourselves with who are the best guys we can draft that'll help us be the best team that we can be. We try to create that as much as possible, man. Just get as many good players as we can, and let us as a staff try to figure out what to do with them.
Aaron, sorry about that. The last couple months, Ben, everything you expected it to be. I know you've wanted this for a long time, talking in Detroit. Has it been everything you thought it would be?
You know what it has been? You hear that it's a lot of different, information that's coming to you, and it has been. But I think I've been prepping myself for this. It's been fun. It's been educational. But I would say this: I love every part of it. Just being able to be the head coach of this team. Listen, it worked out exactly how I want it to work out.
Aaron, what's What's your stance on the tush push?
Say it again.
What's your stance on the tush push? Like, I know.
What's your
That's a
stance?
personal question.
I don't have to defend it. So
Huh?
I don't have to defend it.
But still, what's your stance?
I have so many.
You see?
I don't like it.
I got so many friends from.
Now, let me. Listen, I would say. So you want me to say Roman?
You take it off. You take it
That's
off.
all right. Here's. They've done a good job of creating a play that is hard to stop. And to me, when I go back now, I'm in my defensive coaching mentality. My job is to stop that play. I think I would answer like that. My job is to stop that play. So regardless, it's going to be another play that's going to come out. It's going to be hard to stop. And our job is to stop that play. So I'm going to answer it like that.
That's a diplomatic way of Hey, let me ask you this. So, in recent years, the Jets have always been known as a team that, makes a lot of noise and headlines in the offseason, especially the last two with Rodgers.
Yeah.
This year's been kind of under the radar, kind of quiet. How do you like that? Is that by design? Is that the kind of way you want things to work?
It is by design. And listen, I'm a huge believer in just moving in silence and letting things play out like they need to play out. And I think our staff has done a really good job of that. Just overall, listen, let's just make the moves we need to make. Listen, this doesn't need to be a big hoopla of what we're doing. We just want to go about our business and coach these players and try to create an atmosphere for the players that's totally different, probably what they've been used to. And that's something I want to create just in general. What type of players that we bring into the building, in the building environment for the most part. So, but you're right. I want to move in silence, man, and listen, just go about our business to go win some games. Because you don't win in the offseason anyway.
Right.
I know everybody has these grades on free agency grades. They have grades on draft grades. And when you go back and look at them, they don't really mean crap, So the only thing that makes the difference is what you do during the season.
Is that part of the trying to change the culture? It's just trying to create a different mindset?
Well, listen, culture is about people. And as we continue to get the right people within the building, the culture is going to change. That's something that I've learned a long time ago. Me sitting up there giving a rah-rah speech, that has nothing to do with culture. Coach is about the people that we bring in the building. I'm just not talking about players, I'm about coaches too. I'm talking about support staff too. So we're trying to do a really good job of bringing the right people in the building. And as we do that, the culture will eventually change.
Aaron, when you were coming out of the draft,
Yep.
I think there was probably more of a philosophical thing where the players that were drafted sat a little bit. Like some guys played right away, but there was more to take time to develop. Have you seen, maybe it's because of the rookie wage scale, or an increased pressure that you want best player available, but you also want a player BPA, position to need, that's also going to play pretty early in the first round player?
Yeah. Here's what I think on that, and this for every position. If the player goes out there and practice and he deserves to play, let him play. And there's going to be mistakes. I'm talking about a young player now. Because I said before, this is a young man's game. You can't be afraid to play the young player. So if he goes out there and he competes and he earns that job, you let him play. But every player doesn't do that. There's some players that doesn't earn the job right away, and obviously you want that player to sit back and be able to learn. But to me, I have that type of mindset going in. Listen, go out there and compete, and whoever the best player is, that's who's going to play, no matter what. If they're not, then they sit back and they learn. But at some point, you want them to go out there and play. But that's it. If he gets the job, he's going to play.
Aaron, we talked about how you signed a lot of these young players. Like, how much did you feel like the kind of players you brought in this offseason, an investment in like your coaching staff's ability to get the most out of these guys?
Well, that's who we are as coaches, is to develop. I think that's the number one trait that you look for in a coach. Where number one is being able to teach, and the second thing to be to develop. I talked to our staff about, listen, I want the free agents to play like draft picks. I want our third-round picks to play like first-round picks. I want our first-round picks to wear a gold jacket at some point. And that's the job of coaches. And listen, I hold that to a very high standard in every coach that I have. And that's one of the things I vet out about every coach is how do they develop, because really that's what coaching is. Again, teaching and developing. So listen, every player that we have is not going to be ready-made, and that's okay. And we look forward to that.
Aaron, Lions fans, should they be confident in your replacement, Kelvin Shepard? How good of a job will he do?
Kelvin will do a damn good job. Kelvin's got been prepping for about 3 years. So they have a good, fiery coach. You know, it's similar to who I am as a coach. So he'll do a good job.
Aaron, I think you guys are back in the building in a week for the off-season program.
Yeah.
What do you hope to get out of that kind of extra time you have as a new head coach? What's the objective of those kind of first few weeks with the team?
To me, it's a process, and I've talked to our staff about this. I'm not here to talk about the Super Bowl. I'm not here to talk about playoffs and anything that happen when the players first get in. To me, it's the process of actually making it to that point. And the two things I want to make sure that we do first and foremost is establish a culture, right, that we've been talking about, and man, try to create a building environment and understand what phase one is really about. And we're trying to get bigger, faster, stronger, and more explosive. And that's the only thing I want the players worrying about at that point. All right, we have a lot of time for scheme. We have a lot of time to talk about Super Bowl and playoffs, but right now, man, building our culture and building our environment, and that building is the most important thing right now to me.
You talked, just getting back to that culture question, you talked about moving in silence.
Yeah.
You know, did part of that factor into your decision on Rodgers? Because there's no silence with Aaron Rodgers. You know, I mean, that's just who he is. Nothing against him. It's just the persona he has as a Hall of Fame quarterback. How much did that factor into your decision?
I know who I am, and I know what I want to do. So regardless of how any person is, that has nothing to do with me. I know what I want to do, so that doesn't matter to me.
Aaron, how much have you seen of Jermaine Johnson around the building? What's your impression of him?
Jermaine's been doing a really good job. Listen, I've been knowing him since he came out of college. We actually coached him in the Senior Bowl, and I know exactly what he brings to the table. Listen, he is working his ass off to get back to where he needs to be. And that player has a lot of confidence in who he is. We have a lot of confidence in him. So we're looking forward to him getting back on the field.
The scheme last year, the defensive line, it was wide 9, pin your ears back, go.
Yeah.
Which I think really helped Will McDonald. It was just really emphasized. Has there been any talk from you? Is your scheme defensive front a little, or what your defensive front's going to be? Is it different in that regard? Do you need more edge setting from your ends? Is Wilson's got to maybe put on a little more weight to do that?
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I mean, once we get everybody on this defense that we know we want to get, then we'll build a scheme off of that. Listen, I've been a part of a number of different schemes. I've been a part of the wide 9 when guys get upfield. I've been a part of the react attack where you guys stay square on the line of scrimmage. Once we get all the people that we want to get in this building, then we're going to make sure we get that. Listen, Steve's going to do a hell of a job of being able to do that. He's been a part of building a number of different defenses, as you can see through his career. But we look forward to that. The one thing that we know that we're going to attack, we'll be better against the run. I mean, if you go back and look at what I've done over the last couple of years in run defense, we've been pretty good in that aspect. So we're going to try to continue to create that. But the thing that I know of fact, we have some guys that can get up to the quarterback. So we're going to be able to utilize those guys too.
Have you had a chance to connect with Pete Carroll yet? Kind of a full circle moment there.
Listen, Pete's one of my guys, man. He was the one that gave me a chance. Listen, every time we have a chance to talk and just connect, we have a good time with that. So I owe a lot to him as a coach, and he'll always be one of my favorite people.
Aaron, what did you see in Chris Fangio when you coached him in New Orleans? Did you see a future coach when you were?
No doubt. Just thinking he was a safety, right, coming out, and then he was an elite special team player. And I tell you what, if you just get a chance to watch how he interacts with players, the players just come through the building, his ability to interact with a number of players in a team meeting setting, he does a really good job of that. He's very energetic. He's everything you want in a special team coach. And listen, he will be one of the better coaches in this league. I know that for a fact.
Good, everyone? Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.